My name is Rachel Mwikali. I'm a Pan-African feminist and activist, and I also sit in the board of Young Women Leadership Institute. But within the grassroots community, I run a social movement called the Coalition for Grassroots Human Rights Defenders. And in today's event, which YWLI was hosting, it was a multi-stakeholder forum, seeing the status of femicide cases in Kenya. And when I mean femicide, is the killing of women, where we are, what has been done so far, and looking from where we started the whole campaign. And the symbol of also the campaign, you remember it was during when we were doing Justice for Sharon Otieno. And a lot has been done, but also a lot has been promised, but we have not seen also progress. Despite, even if we have had also State Department, the Women Rep of Nairobi, which also we must comment, has also been very supportive, best adversaries when it comes to femicide cases, and SGBV, because also femicide relates also with gender-based violence. But we still feel we are doing so much, but the judiciary also is not doing so much, and the government is not doing so much. Because if you still look in terms of how patriarchal and misogynistic structure are designed, still when women are being killed, it still is being reduced, the lives of us women, to mental health of men, which shouldn't be that way, because killing is also a criminal case. So you can't excuse femicide to be reduced to the morality question, because also one of the things is we believe as adults, when people agree to be in a consensual relationship, no one deserves to reduce their lives to that level. But at the same time, when a man kills a woman, they shouldn't be humanized and then dehumanize the woman who is having the affair with a man.
So what do you think are some of the causes of femicide in Kenya?
The way I told you, for me, if I look at it, I'll say it's patriarchy and misogynistic, and violence being normalized. And this also comes around the power and the men feeling they have power to control women's body and decision. Because if you look, even a lot of cases, there's been a trend of GBV before it gets to killing. So it means also the system in Kenya has failed women. When they go to report GBV cases, they're not taken seriously, and then they end up being killed. So I'll say the biggest cause is failure of the system of government response that has ensured that it gives a thriving force for the abusive men to continue being abusive and walking away without being held accountable.
How can women maybe also support each other in this fight against femicide?
I think
from the government,
it's not about women supporting or not supporting. It's about us being human and not taking the life of people not meaningful, but meaningful in such a way that collectively we are able, even men, they're able to hold men who kill women accountable, who abuse women accountable. But as a society, we're able to support women when they say they feel they are seeing signs of their partner being abusive or boyfriends, or even states, because some of this femicide, they're also perpetrated by the state. You remember when Msando was found murdered, with Carol also was murdered, but people talked about Msando, not about Carol, which also they have erased our whole story about Carol and Justice for Carol. When Masikino was killed, people have not talked about Masikino. When Agnes was killed, it was also Atleti. People talked because of looking the perspective of Atleti, but not looking alive, like Mercy the person, Sharon, Justice for Sharon. We all know the suspect who was, and people will still let the governor also be in power, not being held accountable. So for me, I feel it's a systematic problem. And it's a systematic problem that also we are seeing that is targeting even women human rights defender. This year and last year, we have had the cases of also environmental women human rights defenders being murdered because of their work advancing women's rights. We have seen Joanna Saberi, we have seen Elizabeth Ikaru, and many other activists that have been killed because they are women. They exist as women, but also they are women who are defending rights of other people. So we feel that despite all the promises that were made, because there were promises that were made even when there was a meeting at the Nairobi University about government taking this matter seriously, but we don't feel it. And as a young population, because majority of also the women, young women like myself who are being killed, also from poor community or low-income area or university, you find also we are being judged, we are being discriminated. So there's politics of inequality, of discrimination there. And if the president current president, who is William Samoei Ruto, really takes hustler like us seriously, because nasemanga hii gavana ya mahasla na mahasla wengi pia ni wasupa, lazima to protect. You can't say you're supporting your agenda is for also hustlers and young people and young women, but you're not putting measures in place of protecting the hustler. Juu kama sasa mimi msupa kama mimi nakupokatiwa. Juu unaona ukikatiwa, next if you're in a relationship, the moment you feel like you're not happy, you want even to break up with a person, you're scared you might be killed, and if you're killed, people will not humanize your life or take you serious. They'll take the life of the man who was making me unhappy seriously and not hold him into account. So you find it's also reducing our safety span to big slower. And even when we say when it comes to violence, when women even say no to relationship or partnerships that are very abusive, you find we are scared, because it's not about them. Also, I'm a young woman in this country who's also not safe, and we've seen it also happening in South Africa, in other countries, even Latin America, where women, even powerful women, are being killed by their intimate partner, but also by the state. So you find it's a systematic problem, but also a societal problem that they're collectively, also as community, we should not normalize. We should stop normalizing and saying, well, uliwa, by the way, no alikuwa napigananga kai na tulimwambia atoke asitoke, but not people should stop criminalizing the victim and humanizing the perpetrator.
Maybe two last questions before we finish. Is femicide majorly or purely caused by men, or do we have instances of females also killing other females? And can we categorize that as femicide?
Majority of the cases that has been done and that we have seen, it has been caused by men, but also we have seen also states perpetuated femicide, where it's targeting women human rights defender because they exist as women human rights defender. We have seen also, let's say, even within the lesbian, let's say within the LGBTQ community, for example, you are a lesbian couple and then you are killed. That's lesbicide, yeah. But in these instances, we're seeing the violence that is targeting towards women's body in terms of our own diversity, because women, we are not homogeneous, and we should acknowledge that. And that's why for us, when you see majority of these cases, they're intimate partner violence. Some of these cases also, they're younger kids, younger girls that have been killed. So they were targeted because they're identified as female.
So what is your call to action today?
My call to action is that the Supreme Court or judiciary should ensure they give us justice. So we have a case that where we have seen it has gone through and then gotten justice. And I'm hopeful that I believe in the rule of the law. If one case can be used as an example, 2 or 3 or 4, it can show other lawbreakers or men who violate women that this is a serious thing. But the moment we are not seeing any case of being a lesson to other perpetrator, it brings a gap of not moving. But also we'll want the president to take it seriously. The State Department, that's led by Aisha Juma, I think even from our experience, she knows what it feels like being discriminated, violated. So I think also the State Department on gender should also take it seriously and ensure that they put mechanism in place to protecting women, but also have femicide as part of GBV. Because also there's that silenceness of not seeing femicide as gender-based violence, but it should be seen as gender-based violence, and it should stop. But also acknowledging that all of us should ensure that we put more pressure for some of these cases, the perpetrator to be brought into books. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank